What's up, everybody? Jason back in the basement. Um, Welcome back. If you're the first time, I'm a guy who likes to talk about cameras. I like cameras. I like tech. I like the art of it. I like sharing examples, which I'll start to do more because I don't do that enough. But today, I want to talk about a new pickup that I got. That is the Panasonic Lumix LX7. It's an advanced compact camera with a fixed lens, 24 to 90 millimeter equivalent with uh, 1.4 to 2.3. So that was what attracted me. You know, a fast lens is always a very attractive thing to me, especially on a compact camera with a small sensor like this. This has a 1 over 1.7 inch sensor. Basically, it's a small sensor. But it has a bright lens, so that combination could prove pretty decent in low light situations. So I said, you know what? I'm a compact camera type of guy. I like that kind of lo-fi, low quality, kind of old school look, that you can get from these cameras. So I'll bite the bullet on it. Got a good deal on MPB, and I pulled the trigger on it, and it arrived yesterday. So been playing with it for a day. So this is really about initial thoughts and talking about the camera from a physical standpoint. And then in a different video, I'll share some photos and examples and give a more in-depth opinion about it. So right out the box, the first thing I noticed is that it's a small camera, but not too small, especially because that lens kind of sticks out, at the top right there. So you got that to contend with. But small enough to fit in, say, one of these type of waist bags. I kind of use this when I want to have something on my belt, and I'll have this kind of clipped around the belt. And then what I usually carry is my Fuji XF10. So, if I compare the size between the two, they're not far apart in terms of size. Very similar in size, except the lens, when you look at it from this point of view, the lens kind of sticks out a little bit more. Overall, very similar in size, and this would actually also fit in there. I tried it, so I know it can fit. So that's that. So small camera, but it has a good layout. What I like about it is that there's enough physical buttons and controls to satisfy, all the things that I would like about it. So you got an aperture ring. I'm used to that from Fuji. So you have that, which in a way kind of renders a little unusable in some situations or redundant. But that also happens with Fuji, in particular with, say, the S10 from Fuji that I'm filming with right now. Some of the aperture features can be, redundant or overridden, based on what mode you're in, because this has a mode dial. Just, actually has a mode dial. So anyway, so it has the aperture ring, so you have that physical control there. It also has these on the side where you can toggle between autofocus, manual, and macro. Now, I will say the manual focus mode is pretty unusable because the back dial, this little switch on the back right here, is how you manually focus. I find that to be completely horrendous, and I could never use that. So that's not a win for me. But I don't intend to use this camera for anything manual. Here's why. With such a small sensor, you're going to have such a deep depth of field that the camera is not going to have a hard time focusing. And the autofocus, I will say, is pretty good. It's, I've never had a issue in the day that I've used it. Keep that in mind. I never had an issue with autofocus. It's clicks on, it goes green. I look back, everything was sharp. So that's a good thing. So that's autofocus. Now the macro mode, I love the macro mode. See, that's the benefit about small sensor cameras, is that it's very easy to get macro from the camera. So you can do some macro work easy with this thing. You put it, especially, it's a pretty close focusing already. But when you go to macro, then you could almost be like right on top of things, and it's perfectly fine. Also has built-in stabilization, so you got that to help you out. The screen resolution is pretty good. I think it's 920K. That's pretty good. Everything seems, refresh rate is pretty decent, and the quality, no issue there. It also has all the buttons you'd want. So you got dedicated ISO right there, easy. You have auto ISO in the semi automatic modes of, aperture priority and shutter priority. You don't have auto ISO in manual though. So you will have to set that, completely manually in manual. But that's okay. I'm going to use this in, those semi-automatic modes anyway. So, if I go manual, I'll know to kind of be at the ISO that I want to stick at, and then kind of adjust the other two accordingly. So I like that. You got the white balance button right here, and then you have your drive to get your, multiple shots and timer. And then you have a dedicated function button. So that function button, I have it set right now to change my focus point. But I also had it set previously to change my picture profile so I can shoot in black and white. Because I think what I want to do with this camera is probably make it a dedicated black and white. Listen, it's a small sensor. It's got a good lens. But you're going to get vintage kind of 2012 image quality from a small sensor like this. So this is not going to match my XF10 for the APS-C sensor that it has. And so I'm looking at it as like, this is going to be my high quality point and shoot. And will be my, vintage look black and white point and shoot, right? And this has a zoom, whereas this has a fixed, lens, right? So that's kind of how I'm playing it. And I think that will work for me. And because you have a zoom range, it could be a nice complement to another camera that maybe you do have a fixed wide angle for, say. Like I have the fixed wide angle with the XF10 with the 28mm 2.8 equivalent. And then this will give me the 24 to 90. So if I want to get something in a distance, I could just set this at 90 and just leave it there and then shoot away. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about this. So I really like it. Another thing, it does have a pop-up flash. That's cool. Have it all built in. It's nice to have that. The record button is dedicated, right? You have a dedicated record button. But in addition to that, you also have a dedicated video button, right? So you have that as well. Now, video isn't great quality, but it does have full HD, 60 frames a second, so you can get some clips. And you do, in the video mode, you can set all your settings manually in that mode. Or if you're in another mode, you have the dedicated video button just to shoot, wherever you are in that mode. So nice to have that. For me, like I'm doing my boxing program in the fall. I'm sorry, not in the fall. We are in the spring. We are coming up to spring, and I'm doing my boxing program outdoors. And I always have a camera, something small like this to kind of be outdoors in bright light, good light. And then I can kind of take some clips of what we're doing, use it for, social media, websites, stuff like that. So this works out perfect. Small enough, but yet useful in that it has a zoom range. It does some decent video for the web, and I can just run and gun and go, right? Also, the menus are easy. There's not a lot to it. There's, the photo settings, video settings, and then you have the camera settings. So very easy, laid out, easy to understand. So I like that about it. And then you got this one thing I forgot about physically. You have this wheel on the back right there. So, you can toggle that between whatever mode you're in. If you're in aperture priority, you would change you wouldn't change aperture because you have the aperture ring, but you would change your exposure comp with that. Now, if you're in shutter priority, you change your shutter and then toggle by pressing it in to use the exposure comp. So you have that option. So it's a very well laid out camera with very good features. And so I think if you're looking for something that's a good buy, you're not expecting professional quality from it, but you want something fun that can just handle some things. You know, you get in low light, it can still get a decent shot at certain ISOs. I probably wouldn't go past 1600 on this. It's probably stay at 8 if you can, and then you're good to go. Shoot at the wide angle, get the highest f-stop you can, and just, you know, be happy there. I think this is a good camera. I'm going to have fun with it, and then I'm going to report back with my long-term view and some photos. So stay tuned for that. That's all I got. So appreciate you guys watching. If you're a user of this, let me know your thoughts. If you're interested in it, let me know your thoughts. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe, and I appreciate everyone who's been rocking with me so far. I'm just a guy who loves to talk about cameras, and I appreciate your time. So if you've been rocking with me, you know, for this long, just say, I want to say I thank you. All right? Peace.